Good evening, everyone. How are we all doing? Welcome to WordCraft, the Solstice One, named appropriately because we've got the summer solstice coming up.
Yeah, Sunday, I believe.
Sunday. Yes, I believe. I might even stay up for it. Who knows? So welcome, thank you. We've got another fantastic evening. We've got some incredible people performing this evening, including the super talented Jonathan Kinsman, last up, our headliner. And to give you a full rundown of what we're going to be doing this night, please let me introduce the wonderful Miss Emily Galvin.
Thank you very much. I don't need to explain this to you every time. We're doing the evening in two parts. The first part will be our pre-booked performers. They've all been super generous, recorded pieces for us and sent them over, which is fantastic. Thank you in advance. You're all wonderful humans. We're going to take a break at approximately 8:15, 8:20. In that point is your time. If you want to get involved, if you've been inspired by what you've seen so far, and you want to drop in for a Facebook Live slot, message us in that break. If you're nervous about doing a Facebook Live slot, that's cool. We've got you covered. If you hop over to WordCraft, the practice one, we've set up a little platform that you can have a play with Facebook Lives. We delete everything every day, so I've done so many practices where the camera's like down here and it's just my chin. That won't live forever in Facebook. Don't worry. So don't be shy, grab yourself a slot. After that, we'll be doing some Facebooky, livey bits, some more performers, followed by, as Chris already said, our wonderful headliner.
Indeed. And well, I guess without any further ado, don't forget your refresh button, folks. Let's get started. We've got our first performers coming up to you. Please jump on there, spread the love, drop them some love hearts, drop them a comment. Let's get involved. Thanks, folks. Let's get going.
Thanks, guys.
Hey everybody, hope you're all safe and well. I'll be performing two poems for you today. First one called Full Bloom and the second one called Glisten. So Full Bloom coming up. The rain brings life to this parched land, stimulating growth, love and a spirituality awakened. For we cannot reach full bloom, showing the world our true colours without guidance towards the light. So that one once again was Full Bloom. This one now is called Glisten. The early morning sun glistening through the leaves, with the slightest of breezes revitalising the skin. Goosebumps send a shiver of electricity which pulsates down my spine. A combination of cold and warmth orgasms the body and awakens the mind for the day ahead. So that one was called Glisten. I hope you have a good night and thank you.
Hi WordCraft. We're close to midsummer now, so I thought I would don a summer hat and share my midsummer poem with you. It's called Midsummer's Eve. Midsummer, the most powerful day of the year for the sun god. With fire we burn, consume, cook, shed light, purify. Before our time, the burning of balefires ritually strengthened the sun, provided a magical aid. Fires were used to drive out evil, bring fertility and prosperity to men, crops and herd. The longest day of the year represents the gods on full power. From tomorrow onward we'll enter the waning year. Each day the sun will recede from the skies a little earlier. Midsummer crops reach the pinnacle of their maturity. People gather medicinal plants, store them for use in winter months. Tyru rowan or basil together in a white or gold cloth. Carry it in your pocket, a daily reminder of the power of the sun god. Feel it burn like the sun. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Hello, my name's Kizzy Wade, and this is my poem, Werewolves. Werewolves chase us all, stalking us, waiting for our fall. When yours howl, what do you hear? What's your innermost fear? For some people, it's past echoes, distant mistakes kept way too close. Inner ear scarred with pictures from previous fights. Now it's the wolf cries that keep them up at night. For me, it's doubts about what's to come. When the moon is up, I worry about the next sun. The tones of my thoughts can't rise above the canine calls. Like a cold wind, they reach my eardrums, bursting them, no need for claws. Nature's siren, they make me feel like I've ruined everything. Guilty, a criminal. Unbeknownst to me, this impacts on my actions, it's subliminal. When you look back into your world's eyes, what do you see? The eyes that see everything, from the bottom of the ocean to the top of the trees. Could it be the roadmap to your demise, reflected in retinas? The destination, a fate that could make your skin crawl like eczema. When you can't find a diversion, your mind obsesses over this horrific version. It's not what's outside that threatens to make me give in. It's when the pupils reflect what's within. 'Cause it's the worry of my own thoughts going wrong that stops me pushing on. So when my flaws are shown in the wolf's demonic sight, I feel like I've lost my moral fight. What could be the thing that makes you trip and fall into the werewolf's grasp? Everyone has something that could put them in the deadly clasp. A lot of people let their arrogance beat them. Instead of running, they'll try to steal food from the beast's den. Sometimes ambition and curiosity is where our confidence comes from. But this time, the wolf killed the cat. The saying was wrong. My trip will come if I overthink. If one foot is in the past, then of course I'll slip. And if I take too long to decide my route, I'll never survive. But my self-doubt is something the wolves connive. My thoughts slow me down in my escape. They're a swamp I have to dig myself out of before my brain breaks. Remember though, werewolves only exist on a full moon, so that means for 27 out of 28 nights they can't chase you. For the nights without torment, we have to recover and grow to make sure that confidence is something we know, so that when the wolves are back, we don't freeze in fear. We have to keep living, even when our eyes fill with tears. Thank you.
Long walks in strange landscapes, at night within my dreams, dark, vaulted brain escapes, private cinema screens. Long walks in strange places, maps of old memories, postcards of faded seas, kept from old men's journeys. Long walks in strangest times, in streets familiar, lost souls fearing enzymes. It's something in the air. I've been since you've gone with no reason why, like Wordsworth's cloud in the empty sky. I've cried more tears than Smokey's clown, into Julie's river damned with a frown. I've been as angry as Marshall Stan, crazed and confused like a madman, and I'm telling you, like Carly to Warren, your vanity's ugly. You're abhorrent. Like Gallagher's Sally, you've missed your turn, and in my thoughts you will burn. I'll be gone, but you won't miss me. I'll be forgotten like the Beatles, Miss Rigby.
Hello from America again. I just finished my last semester at Kiel, and I put together a portfolio of poetry, and this piece that I'm going to be reading for you is from that portfolio. It is called Seance for Equinox. Equinox was my cat who recently passed away, and he was ridiculous because he would grab tomatoes off the counter and carry them halfway through the house, and he would jump on your lap at dinner to try to lick the lettuce rather than the salmon, which normal cats would try to lick. So a couple weeks ago, my brother said, if we threw a tomato on the kitchen floor, we could summon Equinox's ghost, and that kept going around in my brain, so that is what Seance for Equinox is about. My mother sings, and you are still dead. She sings the elegies she sang when I was young, finger-picking on an acoustic she's had all my life, mostly looking at her hands on the frets, half in light and half in blue light. This shirt was the place your cat decided to give birth to 5. We stayed up all night watching, and we wept. There's a space on the couch beside her where you would lay like a child, the smooth leather lint-rolled now. Summer is coming. The back porch lit by tiki lights, the glittering fish hooks of the Perseids cast one by expert fishermen. How close I am to lying. How close I am to writing you alive. Before he was my brother caught a fish as large as him. A story. The tomatoes I found cratered with the sharp squares of your bite marks, a story. I don't want you to see the house now, the urn with your name on a plastic label on the kitchen counter, the vet's papers underneath. Heart normal. The carpet torn up, the scratching posts unraveled. I don't want to tell the story if you won't hear it, the way a parent closes the picture book when the child is asleep. Leave some room for tenderness here. The ventilator covered your face. I couldn't see your eyes. It fogged up like glasses. A story. The urn white as heaven. If I cast a tomato on the floor, would you put your paws on my knee, lie limp in my arms, wail to be put down? Would you stay long enough for me to tell you a story? Forget tea lights. Forget incense like cigarette smoke. I choke on it. It is dark in the kitchen without you. Come back, but let your heart be whole. The floor red as a fist. It's not regret, but I was 5,000 miles away. Come back, I want to say, but my mother is still singing. Thank you, WordCraft.
Hey, so first of all, I'd just like to thank Emily because every time that I've been sort of like struggling with my writing on my journey as a writer, she's always been there to say something positive and like inspire me to keep going. Just want to say thank you for that first. The poem I'm going to read, I don't have a title for it yet, so I'm just going to sort of go straight into it. I searched far for you, out to where the roads rise into dust and the fields of your golden body become mirage. And you searched far for the man behind my mask, only to find another, each more elaborately adorned and as ephemeral as the intricate fabric of smoke. But unfalteringly we pursued, with our bodies clenched to a silent pact, never to surrender our search. And we became partisans to a revolution of the heart, burning in the white-hot pursuit of our truer names, that like any secret of love could never be told by the tongue or seen through the slim veil of the eye. We answered a call to mysterious union. Now I come to you as a stranger, my body trembling but ready to run my 1,000 fingers through your hair and unveil the universe. Thank you.
Review 900 square miles, millions of people. Subways, efficient. One-way pedestrianism, efficient. Vending machines, efficient. Automation of everyday tasks, also efficient. Skytree, I am as high as planes and birds in flight, still struggling to find a sense of belonging, try as I might. Tokyo Gate Bridge, 8,500 feet. Dinosaurs, Godzilla, Kaiju. Akihabara, gossip, retail, media, buzz. 10 floors of childhood nostalgia. Ikebukuro, the sunshine, the skyscrapers. Traditional meet in the modern. Aquariums, planetariums, bright lights, delirium. Tama Newtown, Hello Kitty's path. Pompoko, expansion, neighbourhoods.
Hello everyone. Thank you first of all to Chris and Emily for letting me have a slot tonight. It's really nice to be doing some poetry again after not doing any for ages. I'm going to read two very short, very new poems, so I hope that you enjoy them. The first one's called Hinge. Dad loved DIY. The front door started sticking and he needed my help, so I held it up in place whilst he re-drilled the hinges. and the door swung closed and the drill was loud, and I couldn't even hear myself shouting stop, or my thumbnail cracking, and neither did he, but the door was fixed and made no sound on the morning that he left. Thank you. Second poem is called Not. That wooden dock, those rotten planks, these eager boots, that salty lick, those rose wind tickled cheeks wait for her. Waiting for her, though her bow long slipped below some cruel wave, many nautical miles past, and in passing perhaps her ghost makes this breeze present. And one takes their cigarette down to ashen filter tip and lets it fall from his lips, and whispers like so many others, "She'll come around, boys. She'll come around." Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the night. Enjoy all of the poets, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.
Hello, WordCraft. This is Nick Dead Poets, and today I'm disguised as a 1970s BBC broadcaster. And the reason for that will be apparent on the second poem, because we're dealing with the solstice, aren't we? Yeah, and I don't really go in for that spatial stuff, Stonehenge and all that caper. But I've got a poem about the moon and a poem sort of about the sun. So it fits, sort of, doesn't it? So, first one, poem about the moon. It's called Who is the Moon? Who is the moon? The moon is called Keith, and it makes drumming noises down at the town's end, where they commit adultery. And if you're quiet, shh, you can hear an ant whistle. Who is the moon? The moon is called Keith. Ba-dum-ts. There you go, there's part one. Second poem is kind of about the sun. And the reason for the glasses, if anybody, well, you're all too young, you lot, but for us older ones, we can remember 1976, when people wore glasses like that and spoke like that. And 1976, man, that was hot. I mean, we've just been through an hot period, but if you were around in 76, you could cook eggs on pavement. You could. It was that hot. So, this is a poem about my memories of 76 when I was a nipper, and it's called The Summer of 76. Sun-dried dog muck, like pebbles on a concrete beach 5 foot wide. No sea to speak of, just a road, an occasional lamppost and road sign. Quiet heat of sweating tarmac, smells like oil and licorice. No sea breeze to whisper coolness, just a passing Morris Marina. Slipping cat under a hedge, ignores a bird 2 paws above. It's too hot, even for the opening of an eye or a lip lick. Bicycles lie down in gangs outside houses, and fences creak, hinges stiffen, grass browns, paint bubbles, and the postman buffs. Ties are warm as tea loses its fizz, and women the colour of Tizer lose their will. Flabbergasted, they say, tomorrow will be even hotter. There you go, the summer of 1976. I'll take them things off now, like a pair of windows. Well, that's me, Nick Dead Poet, and hopefully we'll be meeting in person soon at WordCraft, upstairs in the pub. Civvy, be good, don't forget to feed your horse.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're all well and enjoying the evening so far. I've got up next some wonderful poetry that has been submitted by Angie Wood. She is unable to join us this evening, but she has sent a collection of her stuff across, and unfortunately it's going to be me that's reading it. So I hope you enjoy. This is Angie Wood, and this one is called Elderflower. My excitement for this week was to find the flower I seek, locate and to identify the elderflowers canal side. I went a walking with a childhood friend of mine. We saw the majestic flowers, in the sun we did shine. The picking not yet ready, but growing they were steady. Located and identified. Next week we're going canal side. Thursday came, so did the sun. Bag in hand, adventure begun. Selecting those and giving thanks on the abundant canal banks. Filling only what I had, a standard size shopping bag. Nature's way of providing plenty, leaving much to become the berry. Returning home, expressing more, excitement in the banks I saw, making cordial for the first, filling me to burst. The taste amazing, I must say, 2 years waiting for this day, delighting in my creativeness, bottled for enjoyment of the rest. Amazing at how it has turned out. The flowers are no more, but I will be back for the berries. Of that you can be sure. And that was Elderflowers by Angie Wood. And up next we've got My Shadow Is. My shadow is forever moving forward in the knowledge we relate. Our freedom from the heart in a future we create. Every time we meet, we change the shadow from within, moving into dance again and start how we begin. She shows me my ability. She helps me with my needs. With the knowing of humility, she helps me sow the seeds. With movements unseen, she dances my beat. She starts in my head and goes down to my feet. My shadow is the part you can't see. My shadow is the essence of me. My shadow is me. Thanks, guys. That was poem number 2. And to end the wonderful work of Angie Wood, thank you so much for submitting, by the way, Angie. I hope you're all enjoying, guys. And to end, we have a poem aptly entitled End Chant. This world is very beautiful. Oh, sorry, 1 second. It's just done a little crash on me. Let's try that again. End Chant by Angie Wood. The world is very beautiful. I see the gifts she brings. The animals, plants and insects. These are her beautiful things. The oceans, rivers and brooks, enchanted in taking a look. I am, therefore I will believe she's sharing it still. Forevermore and always, the trees, the rain and banks are nature's way of giving us the moments we end chance. Thank you so much, guys. Take care. Thank you, Angie Wood, for submitting those wonderful works. Enjoy the rest of the night.
Lockdown, but not a lockdown. Stay at home. Don't stay at home. Go to work. Don't go to work. Social distancing, social distancing. If you live separately, stay separate. Unless you need to stay each other. Who believes this at all? Is this for our protection? Because if we wanted a hero like the ones in the fairy tales, we'd have firm, straight answers instead of a limp noodle in charge. With all this misdirection, no wonder people cry for insurrection. With this flaccid response to a global catastrophe, no wonder Great Britain has become a great joke. Do you see them following their own rules? Of course not. You'd be a fool to think otherwise. So when you take a trip to Barnard Castle, make sure you're only testing your eyesight. I wonder if I can get away with murder if I claim I'm just seeing if the blade's sharp enough. Of course not. Those privileges don't belong to me. All these rules put in place, yet not one followed. No examples to even to show how it's done. It's do as we say, not as we do, as they go off on trips, and Doris at number 22 is alone, stuck, watching as these people go on by, wanting to see her children and children's children. What does Great Britain mean again? I've forgotten what's so great about it. Pool table blues. A meeting place for conversation, over cues and pockets. General banter and how you do's, chats on love and loss. Cheers and heckles over miscues and wrong parts, gathered around a green cloth table. As the balls break, so does the news. Another ball goes missing from the table, flung over the side, gone into the void. The pub quietens. The pub stands still. The game can't be played until all the balls, each and every one, are found. The game will never be the same. Colston crumbles. To the floor he went, bronze battered and banging against the concrete. The year 2020, when a slave trader finally fell. Many Africans buckled on the decks, lashed until their backs ran red, and when they were too weak, too ill to even stand on their own feet, into the watery depths of the Atlantic they were thrown. Alongside cheers and against cries, the statue rolled on by, pushed along with change, tired eyes and unheard voices, a watery bed to be Colston's new home. As he is tipped into the river, the voices are then heard, all 19,000 of them, cheer in unison with the people of today. Colston joins his discarded livestock.
Hi everyone, hello, I think we're live. I should be used to doing these by now, but I'm not. I'll never be used to them, they're strange. I hope you're all enjoying the evening, and I've got some fantastic poems for you from the wonderful Daniel Kay, who has just released his first book on Amazon. So go check him out, follow him on Facebook. He'll be down here in the comments somewhere. So do, it's a fantastic read. You'll love it. And as a little taster, here are some pieces from Daniel. The first one is called January 1995. 25 years later, she still regretted that night. She'd never told anyone before, but she knew she had to come clean. It was one night in January of 1995. The wind was bitterly cold. She was protected. She was armed. Always be ready for anything was her mantra. I know how she was, especially that night. The mob tried to rob her. They came from behind, believing they'd surprised her, but she saw them coming. She took them one by one, knowing it was kill or be killed. And when it was all over, the mob was dead. Thanks, Daniel. That was January 1995 from Daniel Kay. His second piece is called To the Edge and Back. I could see the end. It was so near. It was quite peaceful. I had no fear. I tried to open my mouth, but my words never came. All those around looked concerned and kept calling my name. I tried to answer, but no one heard. I saw something overhead, Resembling a bird, I soon recognised it was an angel, but he was not the one calling. I saw a light I could not reach. Why was I stalling? I felt a shock, and the light was gone. I opened my eyes and saw everyone. I tried to tell them what I'd just seen. They all smiled at me, not wanting to be mean. I had one foot on the earth and the other in glory. How would I ever get anyone to believe my story? But I knew in my heart there was something more. I'm no longer worried to go where I've never gone before. Thanks, Daniel. That's really beautifully touching. And Daniel's final one, so this is my favourite. This one's called Inner Beauty. Who's to say who is the most beautiful? They think they can tell you. To me, that's delusional. Everyone has their own beauty, but not everyone realises it. They say beauty is skin deep. Don't believe that myth. It's more important to be beautiful on the inside, to be kind and open-minded. So please don't listen to negativity of those who are short-sighted. It's a really great message. Thank you again, Daniel, for sending your pieces in. We love them. Like I said, go check out his book. You'll really enjoy it. And speak to you guys later.
Hello. Are we all good? It's quite strange not to be having a thunderstorm this evening, isn't it? So it's my lockdown hair is coming on, isn't it? Isn't it? Give it about another 3 weeks and I'll look like a thundercat. But one that never joined in with all the fighting, but more just kind of sat in the castle doing admin, working out how much fuel it costs to run the thunder tank. Okay, so I've made myself laugh and I'm about to do quite a serious poem. This is back when I was about 20, 21, the first time that I was in a relationship turned out to be a very serious one, and some of that was definitely my fault, and I kind of found myself thinking about this an awful lot and wishing all the lessons that I'd learned as a result of that relationship, I'd been able to apply them at the time instead of like 10, 20 years later. And so this poem, it kind of starts off then and comes through to now, and it's sort of about acknowledging all the baggage that you tend to put on yourself, and kind of how the important thing is to not just it's about how you carry that baggage and how you treat other people with it. This poem is called Lifting Weights. One weight for every night spent wrestling in bed, trying to stop her punching the wall, the dull thud of knuckle on wood chip, resounding in suburban darkness. A weight for every cut I ignored, for each moment my words and actions were a scalpel to her fragile heart. Neither of us deserved to be so scared, but it wasn't me under the knife. A weight for every time I passed her off to a responsible adult. A weight for every time I gave up, turned away and went back to sleep. Weight upon weight for the back that repeatedly turned to face her. A weight for the past, a weight for now, a weight for each possible future, a weight for moving on, a weight for standing still, a weight for every self-inflicted heartbreak, a weight for every fall, a weight for every time I got back up, a weight for learning, a weight for taking my place, a weight for understanding yours, a weight for wanting better, and a weight for having to accept why I couldn't achieve it. A weight for realizing that accumulating weight after weight, that to lie beneath and surrender is so much easier than trying to be free of what holds me down. For every time you stop and share the load, a weight lifted. So, and it gets progressively more cheerful from thence. Thence. I said thence in a sentence. I very, very, very rarely write poetry that rhymes. Really rarely. Because I'm a songwriter, so that's where all the rhymes go, and then this is where they don't. But if I do write something that rhymes, it's usually very, very, very short, and this is one of those. You never shouted. Well, this is this is called hoping for the payout. You never shouted. You never cried. You never reached for help. Never found yourself in times you couldn't save yourself. But if you could have opened up and let somebody in, what would have been the prize you lost to the one who helped you win? Part of the fun is this is just watching me leaf through my book. I imagine. So, I not meaning to mention this a lot, but it kind of comes up in my writing a little bit. But this is a poem. I saw somebody the other day having a bit of a whinge because they've been single for a year. And it's very hard for me to be too sympathetic because I, like 2 months ago, hit a decade of not being in a relationship, and that's fine. You know, I've made a lot of peace with it now. But when I see somebody whining that it's been like, oh, it's been a few months, I've not been with anybody. So, and I can recite this. This poem is called A Brusque and Harsh Rebuttal to a Facebook post complaining about being single for a year after 10 years acclimatizing to single life. And it goes like this. As you can imagine, that was quite difficult for me to write. Sorry. This one is oh man, we seem to be having a time where all the people who aren't black or who aren't part of the trans community all seem to be having an opinion about how those people should be living their lives or how we should be letting them live their lives, and those people can kiss my ass. How do I spell that? T-H-A-T. So I wrote a poem about people who are quite willing to dictate terms to communities that they've got nothing to do with. This poem is called The Hill You Chose to Die On. You chose your hill to die on well, perfectly placed at the intersection of so many oppressions. By the time you had fully ascended, you were too high up to hear the gathered crowd, but at least you could look down on us all as you tripped and fell on your sword. And that's that. I'm going to do one more for you, and another one that's perfectly in league with the times, except that I wrote it in December. This is called, and I would like to give huge thumbs up to the people who toppled Edward Colston's statue and actually taught the country more about this sordid past than anyone ever learned at school. Isn't that good? So this poem is called First Dance at the Protest March. I was never a dancer. A series of awkward, self-conscious shuffles followed me through my school years, almost making me glad when the budgets were cut, closing the expressive arts department. At nightclubs I stood awkwardly, not willing to venture onto dance floors, hoping instead to meet someone equally shy, whose brain every bit was unwilling to make free connections to arms and legs. It wasn't until the 20th anniversary anti-austerity march that you surprised me. Me in my balaclava and wildly popping limbs, you with your taser. And that's me done. I yield my time. Enjoy the rest of your evenings.
Guys, mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. Thank you so much to those brave souls that have got up there and put their work out there for the world. We cannot thank you enough. Emily, are you on fire? I just saw smoke.
I'm burning incense. I'm sorry. I'm not on fire. It's okay.
Okay, it's okay. Crisis averted. I got 999 ready. You're not on fire. That's good. This is good. Guys, thank you. The performers tonight have just been wonderful. Those that pre-recorded, thank you so much for doing that. And those that got up and performed live, I mean, just kudos to you. We know how difficult it is and how scary it can be. So just an absolute massive thank you. And a special thanks to every single one of you that's out there watching right now. If you're watching this right now, you guys are the best. Thank you. And for those that are watching later, who are catching up at another time, you're still cool. You're still cool. You guys are still cool. Thank you so much for joining us. The comments have been fantastic. The likes, thank you so much, so much. But now it's time for the main show. Without any further ado, I'm going to let the lovely Miss Galvin introduce our headliner.
I mean, I'm slightly speechless with excitement about our headliner this evening. We are delighted to bring to you the utterly fantastic Jonathan Kinsman, editor of Rigwelter Press, which is a fantastic online journal of poetry. You should definitely go and check it out. One of BBC Edinburgh's slam finalists, which kudos. I can't do slams because they scare me too much, so that's super impressive. You should definitely go and check out both of his pamphlets, especially Witness, which was released by Burning Eye Books this April. It's a masterpiece of sort of concept writing. It's been one of my reads of lockdown. It's utterly gorgeous. We'll be posting all of the socials, all of the links underneath this live video. In the meantime, go and enjoy. You're going to love it. And thank you, Jonathan, for joining us. Take it away.
Thank you for that awesome introduction, Emily, and thank you for a really great night. I've been watching all of your poems as they come up on the event, and this is like such a wonderful thing that you've got going on here. I'm really sad that I couldn't come to WordCraft in person, but congrats to WordCraft for being the only gig booked before lockdown that still happened in any format whatsoever. So hey, right, cool. Let's jump straight in. I write a great deal about sex. There's no way of like fanning around that topic. So this is from my debut pamphlet, Ampersand. It's long. You're in for a wild ride. It's like this. Two of your lovers stand before you. The one on the left you can look in the eye with relative ease. The one on the right has you bending backwards until your spine is almost folded in half just to meet his gaze. Your mother would prefer the one on the right, regardless of his indiscretions, which are far worse than those of the one on the left. The one on the right has sharp green eyes that prefer fiction to reality. The one on the left has recently complimented your eyes, the first in a long time to see the ring of hazel around the pupil that is swallowed by dilation. so he is winning. Your pupils are not currently dilated. It's like this. Two of your lovers stand before you. The one on the left has the broad shoulders and a narrow waist that form the inverted triangle used to illustrate the ideal male form. You know every inch of him, every purple stretch mark flying as a tattered flag from the mast of his spine, his arthritic knees, the twist of his nose where it broke and set wrong. The one on the right is a woman. She will never let you have her, but still you know every millimetre of flesh, every maroon stria skirting like bloodied fingers over the swell of her hips, her twitching muscles, the palpitations of her rhythmic heart. The one on the left you've known since childhood, pitched his soft blonde hair and wide cheekbones as the details and the minuscule illustrations of your bedtime reading. The one on the right you've known all your adult life. She is dark and seen only as a creature emerging from shadows. In order to win her, both of them tell you a secret. One of them tells only you. It's like this. Two of your lovers stand before you. Neither of them you see anymore. Both of them have mostly forgotten you ever existed, except for the odd occasion when you post a really good selfie. While examining it on their phones, they will both lean back and congratulate themselves on having had sex with you. The winner is the first to like said selfie. The one on the left hurt you only once, but deeply, like a headsman with an almost sharp axe. The one on the right hurt you in a sustained volley of gunfire over the course of several years. You snort as their names rise in your notifications. You wonder if they realize you have let them both go. It's like this. Two of your lovers stand before you, one of their respective cocks you prefer. When they ask about it, you will tell both of them that you meant theirs. You'll be lying, the winner is you. It's like this. Two of your lovers stand before you. Both of them spent a substantial part of their formative years on the island of Nassau, but they have never met before now. The one on the left moved away a long time ago. For the one on the right, that wound is still fresh. The mother of the one on the left will say, "Are you a lesbian?" with an honest indifference. The mother of the one on the right will say, "An English girl," with an indifference that must be practiced. Your mother will say, "Are you sure you want to be with someone like that?" in a tone that reveals she likes neither of them. The winner is everyone's mother. It's like this. Two of your lovers stand before you. The one on the left is the first person you ever loved, though you only know this in retrospect. The one on the right you recently realized you are in love with. The winner is whoever's name is the first out of your mouth. Both of them are women with scrutinizing gazes whose eyes glisten with mania through their curtains of dark hair. Both of them lower their deep, brassy voices. Somebody turns off the light. All of you are counting the seconds. It's like this. You are having a threesome with two of your lovers, both of them men, both of them avoiding looking the other in the eye. One above, one below. The two of them are locked in a tug of war over the spine of your being. The pressure builds. You cry out, "I don't bend like that." But they continue as if they have not heard. Your bones splinter at sacrum and coccyx. You snap in two. The winner is the one holding the larger part. It's like this. Two of your lovers stand before you. Neither of them know that the other is your lover. All three of you sit down to play a drinking game. You are sweating. One sits on your left and the other on your right. The left is drinking awful mass-produced lager made by a non-company. The one on the right is drinking craft ale from a local brewery and is feeling good about it. Across from you is sitting your third lover, whom everyone knows about, drinking tequila. Neat. It is her turn. She says, "Never have I ever slept with them." All of you. Technically, you win. It's like this. Two of your lovers are putting their tongues down each other's throats in front of you. Part of you think, "Fuck, that's hot." Part of you carries on drinking regardless. Part of you twists your torso over the side of the sofa and vomits. Part of you thinks they make a cute couple. Part of you turns to your third lover with a raised eyebrow. Part of you is roaring, "It should be me, only me." Part of you gazes out of the open front door. The winner is the part you feed. It's like this. Two of your lovers stand before you. Both of them are terrible in bed and therefore losing. Two more of your lovers are standing over to one side, conversing in murmurs you can't quite translate. The one on the left is wearing clown makeup. The one on the right is a clown. Both raise their eyebrows at you, open their arms and beckon. You expel the other two, both cry a little, and you attempt to comfort them, but ultimately make everything worse. Clown fucker. The one on the left spits at you as he leaves. The one on the right says nothing, but you can see betrayal in his eyes. You say the best trait a person can have is taking instruction well. You're lying, it's humour. You go to bed with your remaining lovers. It's like this. Two of your lovers stand before you. They are similarly featured as if playing to some eugenics propaganda you cannot subscribe to. Both of them are strong enough to hold you aloft and trembling above their heads. Both leave finger-shaped bruises along the tops of your thighs that you are quietly pleased to find afterwards. Both of them are their father's sons. So alike in quirking eyebrows, their gazes filtered down their noses. The one on the left promises he will never hurt you, and does not yet know that he is lying. The one on the right says he might, but then again he only might. Both of them your mother would like, for she does not know their indiscretions. The loser is the first to catch himself in the urge to strike you. It's like this. You're at an orgy of all your potential lovers across the apocalypse of bodies. You recognize his face, but don't know where you know it from. He radiates a soft light that has your feet flying across the flesh floor before you. It does not matter who you stand on. They are too absorbed in one another. You touch his face. He looks like what might happen. Angels bleached their hair. A band of pearls forms a circle around his head. I am dreaming, you say, eyes travelling over impossibly smooth skin in the knowledge that this face of his is only borrowed. Of course. But we have time, he replies. You rest your head against his naked chest, his fingers smooth over your hair. You begin to cry, and both of you know all the reasons for it. Around you, each of them reaches orgasmic bliss. In this regard, everyone's a winner. But inside one another, none of them are closer than the two of you pressed together like this. They descend. Out of time, I'm sorry. He wraps his arms over you like a bed of feathers as they begin to eat him, every muscle and sinew painting each other in the splatter of his organs. A woman turns to you. She has a string of pearls dangling limply between her teeth. As you ascend violently to consciousness, you recognize his face as that of a popular singer. You put on one of his songs. You bring yourself up. It's like this. Two of your parents stand before you. Freud is having a field day. The one on the left is your father, who is wearing his wedding ring because it is a Sunday and part of the proper dress for church. The one on the right is your mother, whose wedding ring is stuck on her finger and has been for years. At this stage in his life, most of the people your father works with are women. Your mother jokingly refers to them as your father's harem. At this stage in her life, your mother doesn't work away from home as much as she once used to. After church, your mother packs for London. Your father does the washing up. Your mother kisses your father on the lips and says, "Goodbye, darling." The winner is everyone's place of employment. It's like this. You are in a museum watching all of your previous lovers fight to the death. Each member of the 10,000 people that makes up the audience is a potential lover in a potential universe. Not everyone has a sword. Not everyone has a net. Some of your lovers are pacifists. Some of your lovers are pushing their faces down in the dirt. Say the word, and I let them live. Turn your thumb. You are holding your hand at the level of your eye. The sky is blue as always. The ground is red as always. The crowd is growing restless and are beginning to undress. Touch, mouth to mouth, hand to naked breast, hand to genitalia. No one looks you in the eye, consumed in the moment, in desire. Decide the winner. Choose. You raise your hand to your crown of laurels. Take it from your head. Set it down. Thanks. It's really weird doing gigs on the internet and not having that instant audience feedback. Like, that's my only kind of real complaint about doing gigs online, is that it's like, can anyone hear me? Am I in the void? You're usually in the void as a poet. All poets are in the void. It's law. So yeah, as Emily said, I had a book come out in April. This is Witness from Burning Eye. It's my retelling of the apostles as modern peoples. I come from a Church of England background, and I've done some theological study because I'm a theology nerd. All the things to be learned. But yeah, so I'm going to do a couple poems from that. The first of which isn't technically an apostle, but also it felt really wrong of me to leave her out when I was writing manuscripts. This is Mary Magdalene. At the burial they discover you sing Ave Verum just as sweet as Joy Division, voice wishing for resurrection like a sudden apparition of birds, like forgiveness, like baby's breath grown among the gravestones and digitalis. Andrew's hand strokes over the swell of your belly. Who sighed the bastard babe to be? They catcall in the streets. But before all else, this child is yours. Even God's Son raised him higher than he could have been before. Whore. When they speak of broken things, they speak of Japanese pottery, grounded doves, hearts. Never the creak of a bedroom door, bruises worn like pearls, everything you have shoved in an overnight bag. Wicked woman, witch, curse, possessed, lain with the devil, temptation in a too short skirt. But what of wicked fathers? Wicked husbands? You were dark-eyed and drunk and yelling your sins from the top of your lungs, divorced and dancing under God's gaze. He might have played the guitar, but you, bravest among them, banged the drum, and now, alone in the gardens, always earthly delight. Prayers for heaven, paradise, first wild, now withered. Falling such a heady scent. You light another cigarette, shed eyeliner, tears for happy endings, saviors, and the girl worth saving. He promised you these things weren't your fault, but it doesn't feel like it. He promised. Woman, why are you weeping? Whom do you seek? You kiss his cheeks, his temples, press your face into his neck, run your fingers through his hair, earth in every fold. Don't be surprised. It was you who taught me how to rise from the pit they dug for me. Thank you. Yeah. So in a time where we're talking a lot about oppression, of various kinds, but most recently we were talking about police brutality. I did write one of the poems in this with that in mind, because one of my big goals writing this pamphlet was to reclaim the notion of radical Christ figure because that's what he was saying was radical, and we've got this like wishy-washy, watered down pacifist, stick to the status quo white person Jesus these days, which is not great. So the poem I wrote with that in mind is actually there's like a bonus poem after the acknowledgements, but this is the last pamphlet, which is James the Great. What they'll forget to say is they hated you before all this. Hated the span of your hands, hated the deep baritone of your voice, the bones of your ancestors, foundations of your home, prayers on the lips of your mother, your skin in the sun, your guts. And they only ever needed half a reason, less. They'll spill the contents of your pockets before the court. Another filthy criminal, but nowhere in the holy law does it say, thou shalt not imbibe. Possession is not numbered among deadly sins. Yet still you're fit to die, and die you will like God did, your arms spread against the sky, crying, I am not resisting you. But there's thunder thrumming in your veins as the crowds draw near, spectators to the lightning in your dark eyes, waiting to see what happens next. Does this God of yours lift a finger to intervene? Do you ascend in glorious light? No. You'll lie where you fell, face down in the tarmac, led in those last few painful breaths. Shoot the dog before it reaches the courthouse steps. So afraid. So desperately afraid. Thank you. Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna do some poems that are not in either of my pamphlets, that are more recent material. I wanted to read this one next because I know that summer is coming up, and ordinarily in 2020, with summer coming up, we will be looking forward to the Olympics, which is probably not happening this year. I don't know what they've decided, but it looks unlikely. So I wrote this about one of my favorite athletes. And for anyone that doesn't know what a blazon is a poetic form which is a catalogue of the body. So the most famous blazon is actually an anti-blazon because it kind of ridicules the format, which is Shakespeare's sonnet, My mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun. Yeah, so this is Blazon de Casta Semenya. Who can see such a body and not be moved to stillness, our breaths pressed flat beneath our tongues, each of us leaning forwards into the stadium, into the screen? Goddess, even the sweat rolling down the face of your calf soaking into a sock is such a potent magic we could never pray to touch except in blasphemies. The whole earth quakes beneath your thighs, equine and velvet. Automotive engineers are agreed. Measure now in Semenya's. Casters pull up to red carpets. Camera flash caught in their paintwork. Glistening pistons polished to jewel shine. We will cut diamonds to match the set of that jaw, all their strength brought forth to their exterior, each body now a temple that calls testosterone its choir master. It is enough to see you run, and no perfection rose up from this broken earth. Let them take back their trinkets. We will make you millions to replace them. We will draw you a new finish line and praise each toe upon the feet that carried you across it. Swiftest of all women. Hear them howling in the distance. And no, you will not be caught. Thank you. Cool. So, if you haven't gathered, I am transgender. And it's interesting that somebody earlier in the night read a poem about a werewolf, because I'm going to read a poem about a werewolf now, which is imaginatively titled Werewolf. I'm a poet. How many nights to become, to howl beneath God's milk-white left eye? Creatures like us are sings, seen as we should not have been, fixed monstrously under your gaze. Bring me my cemetery shoes, my funeral suit, and my great black winter coat. Let's have a burial for my ruptured placenta. Put this abortion in the earth, grant it sleep, grant it rest. But mother, call me by my blue name. Slip Jonathan from your lips, as if it means love. Because, Mama, it does. Thanks. I'm gonna finish off tonight, which has been wonderful. Thank you so much, guys. I'm gonna finish it off with some mead, because I'm a Viking in my heart and my mouth is very dry. I'm gonna finish with a poem that I have never performed before, and it feels appropriate because it's a poem about summer, and it's a poem about, well, you'll see, but it's also a poem about how much I love the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which is happening this year. So this is called August in Edinburgh. It's been dry for days now, but summer in Scotland is the smell of wet leaves, and I have left you in the banshee to pluck my tipsy way through midnight streets. Love isn't here yet, but every barefoot juggler catches in your cadence, and the glow of the circus tent maps my path across this city drenched in song. The breeze says, come back. Even as I spool the train tracks southward and wind the year for winter, I am listening to the wailing in my chest. Every station busker and magician that points me back the way I came to this place. And I am keeping August in my suitcase, like a promise, like a prayer. Thank you for having me. I will put a link below to my website where you can purchase my books direct from me, which will come signed and nowhere near as tatty as my personal copies that you've seen me reading from tonight. Thank you so much for having me, WordCraft. This is an awesome night, and I really hope to get down to one physically in person when this is over. Stay safe, and may you all be spared pestilence.
I mean, guys, how amazing was that? Thank you so much, Jonathan, for joining us today. Speechless, right?
Yeah.
Just fantastic. Thank you so much. As Chris has already said, thank you to every single person who's performed tonight. Everybody's pre-recorded and taken times out of their days, evenings, weekdays, midnights, early AMs to record something for us. That's been wonderful. Thank you for everybody brave enough to take those Facebook Live slots, because they're intimidating and scary. You all bossed it. Thank you for everybody who's watched and interacted and engaged. We love you all to pieces, to tiny little smithereens. You guys make this night, you always do. You make it the best night of our month, and we genuinely can't thank you enough. So,
Yeah, what she said, amazing. It's been brilliant. Thank you so much, guys. This is the part of the evening where somebody would say something along the lines of, and we'll be right back after these important messages. So I've got an important message for you. For those that follow the page, we've been doing during lockdown, one thing that we've been trying to do is to keep ourselves stimulated and keep those creative juices flowing. So we've been running a monthly reading club where we've been doing votes. We've picked a selection and we've put it up for a public vote, and then we've all sat and read it, and then we've met up and done a live Zoom to talk about it. Talk about all sorts. They usually descend into madness and chaos at various points, but they're a lot of fun and incredibly stimulating. However, we've just launched one a couple of days ago, and it's something that's quite special. And certainly in these troubling times and some much wider social issues that are going on that I'm sure you're all aware of, that are incredibly important, and we want to do our bit to help educate and understand the situation that has been bubbling under for so long, and is you know, it's happening, and we want to do something about it, and we want to educate ourselves. So what we've done is, rather than putting together a selection of texts for you to vote from, because let's be honest, it's not the most representative, the sources that we've got at our availability. So what we're doing instead is we're going to build a, well, I guess if you want to call it a poetry mixtape.
Anthology.
An anthology, yes, indeed, an anthology. Nice, thank you. Yeah, we're putting some works together into an anthology to sort of talk about those wider societal issues and give a voice to the Black and minority poets that are out there, and to help understand and spread the love and spread the word, spread the message. So we're asking for your help. We are asking for your favourite poems by Black or minority poets, and we're going to collate those and release on the 21st, I believe, the 21st. We're going to release a PDF of this anthology that we've built, and then on Thursday the 2nd of July we're going to meet up on a live Zoom. Hopefully you'll join us and we'll have read it, and we'll sit and discuss it, and it'll be a real nice time. There'll be a safe place for like-minded people who want to talk about the bigger issues, and we really hope that you get involved, because this is such an important moment in all of our lives and in the history of not just this country but the entire world. Things are changing, and we want to be a part of that, and we want to help educate ourselves to move forward as best we can. So thank you, and I'm going to pass you back over now that I've finished my righteous speech to the beautiful Miss Galvin.
No, beautifully said. The only thing I will add is, I guess as a sort of side project, along with a reading club anthology, we're also going to be putting up some spoken word pieces, some YouTube videos, some audio, some music, to sort of help us get a wider cultural reference for our reading. So again, we'd really like to welcome you guys to send some stuff across, because this isn't about us prescribing. We couldn't prescribe anything that you should be reading. This is about everybody getting a slice of education, and making ourselves more knowledgeable. So send your stuff. We'd love to see it, read it, listen to it, all of the above. Yeah, end of big important statements. Finally, thank you again. Have a wonderful night, guys. Have a wonderful almost weekend. It's nearly the weekend. And we'll see you all soon. Thanks again. See you later.
Thanks, guys.